Are Exalted Heroes just plain good in Tides of Torment? Yes, that's a backhanded pun. We're covering the vanilla Chaos Undivided Exalted Hero today. Yay! I think I've piecemeal covered the monogod wands over time, but hey, let's put on a fresh coat of paint and proceed forward. That paint looks red for some reason. Recruited for 1000 gold and 250 upkeep. On Ultra they come in at 4068 health on foot. In this form, armor is 100, with a shield blocking a mighty 55% of small arms missile fire from the front. Missile resistance 15% is as standard for anything that gets through. Leadership is 70, speed 33, charge speed 40, so nimble for the heavy armor. Melee attack begins at 60, highly acceptable. Attack interval 4 seconds, splash target size medium, so Chaos Knights on down, and max targets damaged by splash of 4. Melee defense 45 is only okay. Weapon strength 420 is very decent, split base 275, and armor piercing 145. So while that's far from nothing for armor piercing, it's still a lot more base damage that may or may not be heavily diminished depending on the enemy and some random armor savior action. Charge bonus is 30 and mass is 1000. Yes, Game 1 hero archetype, we expected some vanilla flavor. On a Chaos Steed, upkeep to 275, health to 4680, armor to 120, same shield, which is a very good thing. Speed 78, charge speed 108, charge bonus 45, mass 1500. Nothing else changed, as is traditional. On a Chaos Chariot, upkeep to 325, health to 4896, armor is 110 with the shield blocking 55% of small arms fire from the front, and only the frontal arc. Speed stats are actually identical, but melee attack is now a base of 40. Attack interval is 4 seconds, splash target size very large, but max target splashed in pitched combat remains 4. As we might expect, melee defense is 20, atrocious level, but weapon strength 420 is now split base 145 and armor piercing 275, a huge improvement. There is a bonus versus infantry of 20, charge bonus of 75, and mass of 1500. One might say that the real problem here is that the mass and size are insufficient to kill enough enemies in a charge, and this is overkill against a fair number of targets. But frankly, this is fully excellent. You are getting a lot of damage out of the chariot, and it is heavily armor piercing. Now, the final mount is a not feral manticore. Upkeep glides down to 275, but health of 5276 is even better. Armor is 80, but the shield has finally been relinquished, giving you a Zayten the Black style problem, because he's not as good of a tank. Speed 85 and charge speed 100 are in the air figures, but still pretty fast. Not Pegasus fast, but fast enough. Melee attack is now a base of 55, attack interval 3.6 seconds means a fair bit less downtime between animations, splash target size large means even trolls dilute your damage, and max targets damaged by splash creeps up to 5. Melee defense of 34 is not great, but is better than the chariot. However, weapon strength 460, our best overall figure, is split base 300 and armor piercing 160, so once again it's heavily tilted toward base damage. Charge bonus is 55, and there is no bonus versus a type of enemy, and mass is 2300, substantially better, and improving pulling out of blobs, which is good because a lot of sacrifices have been made for the enormous utility of flight. Also, only in this form does the hero cause fear and terror without items or skills. Oh yeah, and background traits. Finally, we get to the skills. This is a training hero, increasing the experience point gain by units in an increasing percentage boost post-battle. Spread control is useful for increasing control in your provinces and decreasing it in the enemies. This hero has the holy trinity of agent actions, assault garrison, assassinate, and assault units, with specialist reducing the cost of these wonderful agent actions. Available at rank 15, Infernal Champion slaps on plus 10% weapon strength for 1 pip. No reason you wouldn't take this. Starting with 1 free pip, Grip of Anarchy grants plus 1 undivided authority per level, the second available rank 11, the third at rank 21. We can expect an orthodox combat line. Blade Master is plus 5 melee attack for 1 pip. Devastating Charge is plus 30 charge bonus flat at 3 pips, and given he can get a chariot, this gets interesting. Thick-Skinned is plus 15 armor at 3, Hard to Hit plus 12 melee defense at 3, Deadly Blade plus 12 melee attack at 3, Midway Pip, Foe Seeker for the usual speed increase and fatigue decrease during its use. Woundmaker for a plus 20% weapon strength at 3, Scarred Veteran for plus 15% health at 3, Indomitable for plus 12 leadership at 3, and he didn't have top tier in that. Blade Shield for plus 12 more melee defense at 3, and that remains somewhat weak, and Deadly Onslaught for the capstone for plus 25% weapon strength and plus 60% charge bonus during that duration. It's never useless when within range of the enemy. Again, this part was ordinary. Like other Exalted Heroes, the current variety has many lines from which you can pick one skill for one pip, the first trio unlocking at rank 5. Chaos Gladiator adds melee attack plus 5, armor piercing melee damage plus 50 with every blow, and bonus versus infantry plus 5, stacking with the former benefits. Chaos Commander grants leadership aura plus 25%, and the Melee Lord Redline Capstone Stand or Die, 90-second cooldown, 18 seconds duration, 35-meter radius, leadership plus 16, and melee defense plus 24 to allies. I read it out so you understand that pressing this button every 108 seconds is making your forces on the front line that much better off in the mosh pit. Chaos Strategist grants an additional plus 20% XP gained from training, which had a base of plus 25%, and gives casualty replenishment plus 5% to that army generally. It is valuable. Rotate this hero to other armies later if the units are all rank 9. At rank 7, you can access one of the next trio, beginning with Ruinous Wrath. This grants full-time magical attack and plus 10% weapon strength besides. So that's what? Max plus 40% weapon strength from skills. Ruinous Leadership gives Encourage effect plus 5 and Leadership aura size plus 25%. Well, that's going to stack with the Leadership 1 from the last time, so by all means, use this if you want, and especially if a favorable trait will make it even better. The base Encourage aura gives plus 3 leadership, so plus 5 on top of that would be plus 8. Ruinous Unity gives armor plus 10 to the character and Undivided Authority plus 1 if you're really committed to farming that. So, how do we use the Exalted Hero? Well, that's the thing. There's only a few ways to use him, with the Chariot as a wild offshoot, giving him way more viability as an anti-armor hero, but also a lot more squishiness, at least to melee combat. At least in the middle of dueling. If you are running one of the uncommon Chaos armies with a real ranged component, you can use him as a missile tar pit. If not, you use him as the tip of the spear, absorbing the initial bullets to make the rest of your force soak less of that damage. Using him as a part of competent melee strength is actually not bad in general, but that only works decisively when paired with magic or when you do hammer and anvil tactics, and therefore you must have a hammer available. Finally, you would really love to use him to hunt enemy characters, particularly less armored ones, because just the fact you can have a melee hero on a Manticore is a huge boon and greatly expands your Air Force options. Make sure it's a force and not a farce. I'm going to make a separate video on commonly arising Chaos traits sometime, but keep in mind to look at those traits and use them well, and on top of that, the item rework expands your possibilities. What you didn't see here is any kind of poison, flaming attack, regeneration. Those things can be obtained with items potentially. Thus, you must see this hero as a blank slate. It's up to you to write on that slate. Take care and have fun spreading anarchy in an organized military fashion.